Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Viva Cafe con Leche. Happy Thursday. I am the Badass Buddha, Dr. Lori Monaco, your chiropractic physician, your weight loss specialist, your teacher, speaker, coach, specializing in mindfulness practice and transformation. And hello, coming to you from a partially sunny Southern Connecticut. Nice cool temperature fall. I think it's going to be sunny today though. So good morning.
Good morning. Para echo. Good morning, Badass Buddha. Hola, mi gente, aquí con la Margarita, your gladiator guru. Vamos a ver. The sun is rising. I think it already is completely, but it's good. It's beautiful here, sunny in Tampa, Florida. God, I had good energy up until like 6 minutes ago, and I feel like
Oh my God, did I drain it? Because my
I
energy was kind of crappy.
what kind of day are we gonna have? Because I'm like, I felt the pull, not anything towards you, but I felt it, and I'm like, now I feel like I either want to punch something. It's just automatic energy change. So we're gonna try and change that because we keep it real here at Viva. I am your sacred healer and spiritual and creative healing life coach. And when I say that, I say it and believe it because I feel it. I feel it deep and it alters. Um, I am your author, writer, artist. I've created some pieces of art lately that I'm just like in awe over. And your end of life doula. And I'm very proud to add that the end of life doula. And I really, really want to work that. And if I had the choice between life coach and end of life doula, I will always choose end of life doula. I have found that through my research, reading, and yesterday talking with some people. It's a beautiful thing, and I'm happy that I'm a part of it. So yes, good morning. Let's have a great day. We have a guest today.
You know, I didn't even think about that. That's such a duality for you. It's your life coach and an end of life doula.
Yeah,
That's interesting.
because
But you
everything
can
in
learn so much about life through death, especially from individuals who are dying, which is very powerful.
and I don't see, and there's so many people who fear death. I had a conversation not too long ago with my friend's brother, and he's in Cali, and we were talking about some certain things that are affecting today's world and all these mandates, and I voiced my opinion on it, and yeah, it's about fear because I talked about you can't have both. You can't have the fear of death, and then the choice of life, because for every beginning there's an end, and we know we were given a birth date, right?
Yes.
And that was anticipated. And unless you're given a disease like Eric did with ALS, you really don't know, and it's a roundabout. You got 2 to 5 years to live, but we normally don't get that. It just happens like, ooh, pops up like slut magic and surprises you. And so you just got to accept them both, I think. And it is sad because of love, because, loss, all of that. But it's a rites of passage. Everybody wants to grow old gracefully with anklets with little poof balls at the end with their favorite color on it, but that's not going to happen for all of us.
Right. The years ago, I don't remember I've said this before, but years ago there was a music video. I think it was from the early 2000s where the video had all these people have these little things over their heads with a timer, and it was a countdown timer. And the person that was obviously the singer of the group was able to see everybody's timer, and he saw everybody's counting down. And there's this one scene where the timer's like counting down for this one person, and it was like almost out, and it was because they were going to get hit by a car. And what he did was he jumped in and he pulled them out, and then looked back up, and their timer reset. And it was, but I'm thinking, my God, I think that if
that was a long ass video. What was it?
I don't remember what it was. It was a good, huh?
Was it a movie?
No, it was a music video.
Oh my God,
It was just a music video. And
Did
I
you
can't
know
remember the group. And it was a good song. It was like a popular song, but I can't remember it. I could probably look it up, but But it was so intriguing. Like if we had that ability to see, what would we do differently? Let's shout out. We have a lot of people that jumped on this
But
morning.
wait,
So
before we shout out, but even though we don't have the ability to see, we have the knowledge that it will happen. And just in that itself,
sure,
you
but we
know,
don't think it's going to happen
researching,
soon.
but we should.
I know, but we should, but we don't,
And,
especially when you're younger, you're in your 20s and you think you're indestructible.
or
Then you
when
get a
you're
little
30,
older.
or when you're in your late teens, early 20s, and you hear about a 30-year-old woman, you're like, oh, that's old.
That's
She's
so
old.
old. I know, right? Exactly. Good morning, Connie. First thing on this
Good
morning. Good
morning,
morning,
sissy.
Edie's on. Janine, Lillian, Attica Bolahala. Moyeto is on. So good
Oh, my
morning,
brother, my
everybody. We're so happy to see
sister,
everybody. So good morning. So
Lilian.
well, and it's funny that we're talking about this because the topic today is cultivating optimism. So that goes along with it because you have some people who carry the death march with them as they go through life, that their life sucks and they're going to die anyway and blah, blah, blah. And then you have the other people who are completely oblivious, but that doesn't mean they're necessarily optimistic, And the topic today is really great because optimism is a choice, but to cultivate it, we have to create it, we have to nurture it, but we also have to be realistic, like being authentic, understand, like you said, you can't, you have to be able to really live life, you have to really understand that death is part of life, which I guess I have a rough time with because I'm so there that death is such a part of life that it dumbfounds me when people get so distraught when somebody passes because I'm like, but that's what was that was an inevitable piece, and I don't know this. I don't know if it's part of my mindfulness practice of non-attachment where I just know that that's just the way it is. I'm not saying I don't get upset, but I just know that that's part of the process, I don't know.
Yeah,
Sometimes I think
it's
maybe
part
my
of the
heart cold.
process. I think that when how many people really close to you have passed away? That's one question. Because
Me?
that's one of the things I've
A
had to
lot.
ask people, and they'll say, "Oh, my grandmother, my aunts, my cousins, my second cousin, my cousin's cousin's mother that I was close to." But when it hits home, like your child
Yeah.
and a
Oh, yeah.
person
I couldn't
really
even
close
imagine.
to, all that, but they've said about
All
that
bets are off.
right out the window because it hurts differently. When my father, my husband died, I didn't cry. I felt like I was a stranger that tagged along with a second cousin to the person who passed away. Like, why am I here? Type of deal. And then now at 52, when my mother passes, it stung so totally different that it brought the pains from yesterday and the tears in because then it's like something woke up to say you lost something. So it's hard, and I wish that nobody. And if you can continue to be how you are with that non-attachment, that's beautiful. In relationships, I think the only thing that's gonna help when you're cultivating self and then you're cultivating a unity, it's all about releasing the expectations and the assumptions. Like we expect people to know what we like, know what we don't like, know how we're feeling. Well, you should know me. I'm this, I'm this time. Assumptions, expectations, assumptions out the fucking window and open
Yes.
up to communication. And when you do open that window to communication, then you got to kick the door into understanding what the hell you're communicating about. That's such a great cultivation. I'm really excited for today's topic. But yeah, because people, that expectation will always destroy everything you have in a heartbeat. Good morning, namaste.
Good
I'm
morning
better.
to Chanel Real Deal, Wanda Stover in the house, Francia. Good morning. Well, so I agree with you. I think that we have to live our lives to the fullest. We have to live. What's the song? Live like you're dying. I mean, I don't know if you want to be that morbid, but we have to live with the reality that we're not here forever, and that we need to we need to enjoy the moments,
Mm-hmm.
and we need to be optimistic. Like we cannot be miserable in our daily life. Is the world a miserable place? It sure can be. I mean, if you watch the news, you would think so. And so how do you have that attitude of life and living life and loving life when there's so much bad around you? And it's a matter of mindset. It's a matter of deciding that this is the way I'm going to live. This is how I'm going to live. And this is, and again, it has to do with that. I mean, I've been around so many pessimistic people in my lifetime, and it's very draining. And for a while, I was very pessimistic too. I've always been more optimistic than anything, but I've been, I've had my moments, but when you're an optimistic person, it's an interesting to be around pessimists because they want so badly for you to think the way that they do. They really, truly do. They want to pull you down because they just cannot allow themselves to feel that. And they say things and they do things and they purposely trip you up. And that's why the cultivation part, which is going to be great when we talk to Evan when he comes on, is that it's like a garden. Like you always talk about this, Gladiator Guru. It's like you have to constantly tend to the garden for those, you have those days that are absolutely beautiful and sunny outside, just like a garden, and it's beauty. You're enjoying it, and those beautiful sunny days for you with optimism. But then you have those cloudy, ridiculous storm days that are there, and then it's very problematic, and that's why you have to know when to tend to things. Good morning, Gwen. Good morning, Edith. I don't know if I said good morning.
That's a great thing. Let's back up like 2 lines before you gave salutations. Absolutely. You said, like a gardener, there's going to be those sun-filled days, and then there's going to be some storm days, and you're going to have to know how to cultivate them both. It's a balance. It's not about being pessimistic. It's about being a realist. So when you are a realist, you're going to feel angry. You're going to feel upset. You're going to feel like you want to rip somebody's throat out. Are you going to do it? No, that's the difference. But you have to cultivate a balance in allowing yourself to feel what you feel at that moment, but having the restraint not to act upon it. And that's what I learned. I've also listened to a lot of people talk on mindset, and everything is, well, just change your thought to positive, change your thought to positive.
Oh, it's not that easy.
But what are you doing with that real emotion that you're trying not to bring forth? You know, it's not about refusing its entrance. It's about allowing it in with boundaries.
Yes.
So I know that I am a very vibrant and colorful emotional person. So I'm not going to prevent myself from feeling that rage and fire. What I'm going to do is welcome it with restrictions. And that's how it's been working for me. I'm not harboring anything. I'm not burying anything down. So when something happens six rows down, that I'm not blowing up for every little thing that happened each step. I am going to get upset. If I have to tell somebody off, I'm going to tell them off at the level that it happened, not by allowing it to add up and then blowing it up. And then people are like, but what did I do? Or what did she? And I don't even know why I'm mad. I've done that. I've lived that for most part of my life. So with all this thing that I've been doing and even just trying to even out myself, it has been to accept it, feel it, and then just say, okay, mama, you can't. And then, tell Juanita, just relax. We're just going to let it flow. Let it flow. That's what's been working for me. Good morning, Tiffany. I have a lot of my family on today. Buenos dias.
Most of the time it is your family. I share mine on all my other social media, and I barely get anybody that comes. Hopefully they watch it later because
familia es tu familia, obviously, right?
Oh yeah, no, I get that, but you know what I'm saying.
But look, Tiffany's on today.
So Janine's good. So Janine's family. So she's on. I'll take her on my side. Like if we were getting married, Janine would sit on my side. That's what I'm going to say.
There you go, Janine.
And Wanda would sit on my side too.
You're gonna have to jump, Janine, because that's just how it's got to be.
All right. So you have the intention. Let's.
First, I want to. Good morning. Here's the Viva. Erica, your cup is ready.
I got my Viva shirt on today.
I'm drinking this nasty maple. And the whole house was smell. You know when you make pancakes and somebody puts too much syrup on it, and then although you washed the dishes and cleaned everything, you walk back into the kitchen and it still smells like that syrup. That's how this coffee is. I said I'm gonna give the badass Buddha. I said I'm gonna try her flavor coffee since I can't go as espresso black. And I'm thinking like, so, but here it is. My cup is almost done, and that's it. Buenos dias.
Iritza wants to know where her cup is.
Iritza, of course, you were supposed to call me, but you always want to blow my spot up on Viva Cafe con Leche. That's okay. It's going to be delayed a bit longer. Go ahead. What are you thinking?
It's. We'll just blame it on the manufacturing and shipping. Those are the issues we're having. All right. So what's the intention for today so we can get the lovely Evan on this morning?
The intention for today is today, and it's because I was angry, very angry for some reason. Today, I will see the beauty of this brilliant new day of love and light. Today, I will see the beauty of this beautiful and brilliant new day filled up with love and light. Got it.
Okay. And the mantra for today is, I will cultivate optimism. I'm just going to go right with the title. I will cultivate optimism each and every day.
That's I love that word. I love that cultivating word. What I've been
I know I do too. I do too. So let's bring Evan on. So let me just give a little bio here on Evan. So Evan started his career in nutrition with a passion for knowledge and motivation to help those who struggle with being their best mentally, physically, and spiritually. Somebody I can totally relate to. As an adolescent, Evan was challenged with his own need to lose weight, become healthy, and stay fit. When he took his first nutrition class in college, it resonated to the point of becoming his pivotal moment, and his career path was set. After receiving his master's and becoming a registered dietitian, he worked in hospital ICUs with the most critical of patients. He saw their fears and vulnerabilities and realized that having the right attitude was half the battle. He started studying the psychology of behavior and change, which led to the development of his first nutrition program, Appetite and Attitudes. He became a diabetes educator, an adjunct professor teaching nutrition and disease, as well as nutrition and performance for over 10 years. Later, as a manager in the corporate world for over 20 years, Evan developed leadership skills, which allowed him to turn full circle and bring his passion back to his first love, nutrition and wellness. This led to the birth of his new program, coaching individuals with groups about healthy thinking, healthy eating, and healthy living. Launching Pro Attitudes allows Evan to help people change their approach to life's biggest challenges. Apparently my challenge is reading. Eating, exercise, stress management, work, family, and life integration, believing that when you change the way you think, you can change your life. Our core beliefs, conscious and subconscious drive our thoughts that feed our moods and motivate our actions. Amen. If we can reprogram the flawed core beliefs, we can create new neural pathways, which literally changes the way you think and feel. Change is possible if you choose to think differently. Create a mindset that allows for positive change. And I love that he calls himself, oh God, what did you say, Evan? Hold on a second. He said he is the CEO. Where did I read that? The CEO and the founder and gratitude manager of Pro Attitudes. I love the gratitude manager. Healthy thinking, eating, and living. Okay, perfect. So here we go. There he is. Good morning, Evan.
Hola,
Good morning. How you doing?
Good. I forgot, where are you coming from this morning?
I'm coming from the New York metropolitan area. I'm on Long Island.
So you're East Coast. You're good.
Huntington.
Okay. Yeah. So you're not
just
getting up.
South
You're
of you. You're in Connecticut. I'm just south over the sound.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, you could hear it. He's just south over the
coffee.
sound. He's from Long Island. You're from Long Island?
I'm from Long Island.
Yeah.
Born and raised?
No, I'm from upstate New York, a little town called Bombville, which nobody knows. So it's next to Newburgh. But I learned a lot living there, and I became an optimist because of what I did growing up there.
Yeah, good.
Yeah,
that's
it's cold
wonderful.
up here, huh?
It's colder there than it is here.
Yeah. Yeah.
And listen, for you to be an optimist and live in Long Island, that's a good thing. That's an amazing with the traffic and the bridges and
he lived in Newark. He said Long Island, not Newark.
Yeah.
The joke.
Well, there's tremendous
sorry.
traffic here. You know, you can go 3 miles and say, "Oh, it's only 3 miles," but it may take 3 hours.
Yes.
No.
My whole family's from. I was the only one born in Connecticut. Everybody else was born in New York, so my whole family's from there. So yeah,
I knew that about you. You definitely have a New York sensibility about you.
Oh yeah,
Badass
I
Buddha.
definitely have the attitude sometimes, for sure. Even Gladiator Guru does, and she's not from there.
No, but I'm a proud Bridgeport-born individual.
Yes,
Connecticut. What are you drinking?
New York influence.
I am drinking an absolutely incredible cup of coffee. I'm going to give a plug to my favorite coffee makers and roasters. I'm a coffee snob, as my wife would say. I buy from Spring Hill Jack Coffee. It's out in Ohio. It's a roaster. Don't know how I found them, but they are the best coffee in the world.
Wow. Spring Hill Jack Coffee. I'll have to check them out.
I love that, Evan.
Black Phillips roast is my favorite, and that's what I'm drinking now. And I drink it black. And I do love coffee, and coffee is loaded with phytonutrients, polyphenols, and bioactives. It is good for you. I did a short video on it last week, I think. So it's somewhere out there in the ether, in the internet. But so they can find it.
The plug for coffee, which is perfect for this show. Perfect.
I love that.
We are drinking our coffee black as well because we are doing a program. But however, any way anyone wants to drink it is absolutely totally fine with us. So let's get going with this conversation. So
Back to the coffee. I really appreciate you loving it like that and everything you said about it. But what you forgot is it's also like an aphrodisiac. Coffee is very intimate and it's very orgasmic. Mm-hmm. When that first sip of coffee caresses the palate of your tongue, it should make you jump.
I love you. I never thought of it that way, but you know what? Coffee, there is something about the anticipation, or not the expectation, the anticipation. As you talked about in the beginning, we want to eliminate expectations, but anticipating that first sip in the morning.
Yes. Yes. And this, no, listen, okay, now you got that conversation going. So coffee is that way because as coffee's brewing too, it's like you smell it, you put it into the thing and you smell the grinds and it's like you put tea on, not that there's, I mean, I drink tea too, but you put the hot water on, there's no smell. There's no, you hear the bubbling water, but it's like coffee has this whole buildup and then you sit down with it and you're like, I love my quiet time with my coffee. I love when I can get up and especially if I'm camping or I'm on vacation somewhere and I could sit outside by myself before anybody's up and have my first cup of coffee. That is spectacular.
It's the best friend. It's a
something else from a nutrition perspective. People don't know this, but the number one antioxidant in the United States, the most that we get is from coffee.
Oh, I would imagine because
isn't that amazing? Yeah.
Is it because we drink it so much? I'm assuming, right?
Yeah.
It's
not bad. Some people can't tolerate the caffeine. Some people are into from the health perspective. I'm not one of those. I look at let's make all foods fit. There are certain things we want to avoid, but I think it's more about mindset than anything because I'm not one for the on and off, what I call the roller coaster riot approach. To me, it's about how can I have a healthier relationship with food? And part of that starts with, well, how do I have a better relationship with myself? And that relationship starts with optimism. As people understand what optimism is, but it's really to get up into the headset. So first thing I want to do is ask, what do you think optimism is?
You go first, Gladiator Guru, because it's going to be magical.
Well, optimism is something, like you said, it's for each different person. It's like for me, when you talk about optimism with food,
just optimism, period.
Oh, it's about looking at there's three sides to everything. There's your side, their side, and the truth. And it's just finding that medium that it's closer to what it is and accepting it for what it is, and then doing it to fit you, to fit your perspective on it, not forcing anyone to see it your way. To me, it's like what is optimism? Is looking at the cup as the glass half full.
There you go. Yeah.
And knowing that you can still pour out and pour back in.
Mm-hmm.
And that there's an option to give and receive instead of harboring. Because if that cup tips over, you're fucked. Now nobody has anything, right? So it's a give and take. What is optimism? Is give and take. You smile, they smile back. You say good morning, they'll nod in their way. You can't have expectation that they're going to say it back. You hold the door open for somebody because it's the optimism within you to be that kind without expecting someone to say thank you. Now, people hold doors and then get upset. They can't even say thank you. Then why the hell you opened the door for? I didn't ask you to. So it's about that. It's about a give and take, and about if you're going to cultivate kindness and gratitude, then you're cultivating it to give, not to give and wait to receive.
I think optimism is just being happy with life, just happy with knowing that no matter what happens, there always could be a brighter light. If something bad happens, that you learn from it and then you move forward and you keep going. And that as bad as things can get, it will always shift. And I think it's the shift. It's the believing in that shift, and knowing that when you create that attitude of being happy and believing in possibilities, you create them. So it's like you bring more optimism toward you bring more good and happiness towards you. Are we close?
I love that. Yeah.
What do you think?
So, there's no right or wrong answer. It's, to me, I hear hope, right?
Yeah.
So there's definitely hope is a real important component of optimism. Confidence, I hear there too, that you have that confidence. And then there's being future focused, that you could say, I see a way forward.
Yes.
Okay. And it's expecting good things, but I think it's more anticipating than expecting, right? But some people will look at optimism I like to look at it first. Let's find out what it's not, right? What's pessimism? What's
the opposite of optimism?
It's a person
being an asshole. I don't know.
I mean, it's a person who doesn't really see a way forward. They have a fixed mindset.
Yes.
Right? Okay. So I think that I love what Simon Sinek talks about with optimism. It's different than positivity. Okay. So we're not talking about, saying everything is fine when things aren't. Okay. That's denial. We don't want denial.
Thank you.
Yes.
But fundamental is optimism is that fundamental belief that there's light at the end of the tunnel.
Yes.
But you're in the tunnel, but you can see the light and you're heading towards it.
The expression I just heard on that, it says, look for the light at the end of the tunnel. Just make sure it's not a fucking train.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. Well, that's a little bit of pessimism in there. The future will be better, right? That's part of where we talk about what I really want to focus on is growth mindset, because that's really what it's about. And Carol Dweck is the one who kind of pinned growth mindset. And it's about understanding that you can change. When we were children and infants, and we said our first word, our parents didn't yell at us, right? When you said mama, what did mommy do? Exactly. She celebrated. And then that wasn't like, okay, now you're speaking like we are now. It took a long time to learn how to speak. Same thing with driving a car. When your parents got you in the car, it might have been a little different then, right? It's like, a little bit of craziness. But when you first started to learn how to drive, it wasn't easy. You didn't go, I can't do this. Some people might have, but you got encouragement. But the idea is that we can learn, that we don't fail, that we fall down, we get back up, and we learn from it. And that is really the essence of growth mindset, which is where optimism lives. part of it is where do you find optimism? It's really by connecting with what's truly important to you internally. What are the things that drive your purpose, your why?
And that's what you got to inquire within. You have to.
But that's when you're a little bit older, like optimism. I know is just real. It's bred, like the subconscious mind starts recording, and since you were a child. So when you like getting back to what you said about being a child, when you're little, parents are excited about you walking and talking, and they're praising you, and they're doing all this stuff, and then somewhere in your childhood, it switches their own baggage, your parents or your caregiver's own baggage or BS kicks in, and then all of a sudden they're not that way. Because I've met a lot of people who are really pessimistic adults, and when they're around littler kids, they're so like they're so happy, they're celebrating their little victories, but then all of a sudden the kid gets a little bit older, and then they start putting onto them their belief system and their view on life, and then all of a sudden that starts to shift. And I've seen it happen so many times, and it's such a terrible situation, because children are recorders. They just record, and by the time we're 7 years old, we have our personality in place. And it, not that it can't change, it's just it's very challenging as you get older once things are set into motion. So how does one cultivate optimism when they're surrounded by people who are so much more pessimistic?
Well, there's a lot to unpack there, but let's start with the idea that when we're born up until age 7, we're all born these noble beings.
Yes.
But what happens is not always what's right or best for us. But it doesn't mean that it was bad when mom and dad yelled at us for drawing on the wall. Hey, stop doing that. I remember reading a story about Albert Einstein. When he was a child, he spilled milk on the ground. And instead of his mother yelling at him, she saw that he was playing with the milk with his fingers and hands in the milk, drawing, whatever a kid does. She got down there and played with him. And then she said, after a little bit of time, she said, okay, now it's time to clean it up. And I'm thinking, wow, I was a lousy parent. But what an incredible story that, we don't know what creates that window to genius, right? But what we do know is that as we get older, these things that happen to us create what I would call layers of protection. And I call each one of them an identity. So you have your core, true, noble self still in there. Just have to look in the mirror, remember that. But as we get older, as we age, as we experience life, and we see it through the lens of our parents, our friends, school, society, we start learning things based on how the world works. And those layers become identities that sometimes are self-defeating. Those identities, I like to call them, I call them the Darth Vader that sits on your shoulder, whispering lies in your ear. And it's not a good or bad thing. It's there to protect us because we have 3 brains: the lizard brain, the mammal brain, and then the higher level human brain. And all of that decides whether we are an optimist or pessimist. How? Well, to make it really simple, the lizard brain is our fight or flight response, right? Evolution's, it's been around hundreds of millions of years. This is how and every animal has it, but we don't want to live like a basic animal that's living with the fight or flight response. Now, once we get out of knowing whether we can fight, we can actually live, or we're going to die, right? If you can make that, and it's a split second, right? You can't deny it. It happens all the time. When we're under stress, anything that stresses us out, it builds and builds and builds. And if we're there at that high level stress level, if we don't turn that switch off, it just keeps boiling up and up and up. And we become less and less tolerant of stress until all of a sudden, like our nerves are just on fire and we're stressed and then we're anxious and everything sets us off. And then we shut down where we just, I can't, because and everybody has a different tolerance level. So what do we do? What is getting in the way of optimism is our attitude. It's from those identities and the answers that come from what I should do, how I should look, what I should do for a living. The word should. It's all external. Part of what we need to do is just stop, take a deep breath. Everybody take a deep breath.
Ready? On 3.
1, 2, 3. In through the nose and out through the nose. Okay, so now what do? We think about what gets in the way is the scripts that are saying what's expected of us, what we're afraid of. Failure, the fear of failure, the fear of success, things that influence us. And also, of course, denial. All of these things keep us in our comfort zone, listening to the lies being whispered in our ear from the Darth Vader. What we need to do is to stop and acknowledge that the identity that we created, that Darth Vader that's saying those things, is there to protect us, but it's not. It's self-defeating now. It's not working for us. So what do? We acknowledge that. We create that awareness. And the number one saboteur is the judge. Can everybody relate to that? You have a judge that you hear that talks negatively in your ear every day?
Yeah.
Sure, of course.
Aside from my 4 personalities, I do.
We have like 30 to 60,000, 70,000 thoughts that happen every day. And 3/4 of them tend to be negative. And that's to protect us, because when we talked about those 3 brains, 3/4 of the decision we make are from the lizard brain. And then the mammal brain is where our emotions sit. So understand that we do make decisions emotionally. Our rational brain is the highest level brain. We don't want to make everything a rational decision, but we want to have the 3 brains in congruence. So we want to be able to say to ourselves, how do we stop the chatter, the negative chatter? It's how do you figure out how to stop the chatter? Do you guys know how do you typically stop the chatter?
Awareness. You have to become aware of the chatter.
That's the first step, right? And once you're aware, then it's a matter of saying, okay, creating an intention on what's connected to your why. So that why is, for whatever reason, it depends on what the person's looking to do. If they want to lose weight, if they want to do better at work, if they want to manage their stress and anxiety, if they want to get more energy, if they want to get a handle on their health and wellness, it all starts with intention, having an attention on an intention. And that intention needs to be internalized. Why do I do what I do? I use an exercise called the 5 whys. I don't know if you've ever done it, but it's just asking yourself, why do I do what I'm doing? And if a person gets up in the morning and says, I really want to get up and exercise, I want to go for a run or a walk in the morning. And the next morning, the alarm goes off and they hit the snooze button. Why do they hit the snooze button? Well, I'm tired. Well, why are you tired? Right? And then, well, I didn't go to bed early enough. But why didn't I go to bed early enough when you knew that you wanted to get up and walk? Right? Or, make that intention. And you keep asking the why, and why do you want to go for the walk? Because you want to lose weight, or you want to get a better handle on your health. Well, why do you want a better handle on your health? Well, I want to spend time. I want to be able to be around for my grandkids. I only have one now. I want to be at their my grandkids' weddings if you're older, or part of it. Now we're getting into something that's more internal versus I just want more sleep. Having motivation is important, but it's not necessary, but connecting to a why is. And the reason why motivation isn't so important because motivation is fickle.
And it's temporary.
Exactly.
Motivation is temporary.
And the motivation is ruled by your emotions.
Yes.
And sometimes your emotions, they're not aligned with what you want to do. So, you know, I always ask people, which inspires you to take, which one inspires which? Taking action inspires motivation, or does motivation inspire action? Mm-hmm. They're both true, but if we eliminate motivation from the equation, which is what I like to do, just eliminate it. We make motivation is based on it. It's that, again, being fickle, that you have the ability and the willingness to do it. So if we make it really, really easy, the motivation has to be very, very small. So that's the way I work. That's why my tagline is, whether it's helping people change or cultivating optimism, it's one choice at a time. And I use also the tagline, exercising your attitude muscle, one action at a time, because it's all about attitude. And, you know, it's a good segue into attitude muscle, right? I want people to understand that for growth mindset, you need to learn that you can change, not fixed mindset. Oh, I can't do that. Yeah, you know what? I'm fixed and set in my ways. There's no way I'm going to change that. I was playing miniature golf last weekend with a friend, and he happens to be a detective. And I said, you know, I really want to work with a group of cops or a group of firemen to take them on as a group. And I think it would be kind of fun to do it. And, you know, he's like, no way. They're so set in their ways. There's no way.
And they're so optimistic. You don't need to cultivate anything with them.
So it's out there. It's everywhere. It was such a brick wall, right? So part of what I try to do is I want people to know I have a real simple technique. And I call it, first you have to focus on your fears, because optimism really does work. How do you become more optimistic? How do you create growth mindset? And people who are optimistic are more successful. They feel better. They make more income. They live longer. They are healthier, and they have less stress and anxiety. So it's actually a pretty good thing to say, hey, I want to cultivate optimism. But the first step is to offload your fear. So I want people to know how easy it is that if you're fearful, where are you living in your mind? If you're fearful, where are you living? Can you guys share with me, if you're thinking about something you're afraid of, where is your mind?
Are you talking with regards to what you said before? So you're living more in your fight or flight. So you're more in your reptilian, mammalian focus.
Yeah. And also, are you in the past, present, or future?
Oh, it's always in the past. And the balance goes back and forth. Anxiety and fear is future. And then depression and is past.
It's the regret of the past leads us to that mindset, right? That gets us into that depression or that deep down anxiety that we feel that we're hopeless. And fear of the future gets us into such an anxiety, high level frequency, vibratory state that I ask people to just offload the fear. And I say, well, how do I do that? There's a lot of great ways to do it. I'm sure that both of you have. I mean, I was listening to you with affirmations and you were doing intention. I loved all that. But part of it is, how do you focus on just being in the present? So what I teach people is to do some simple exercises. I call them sensory command exercises and also breathing exercises, which will get you into the precious present, as I like to call it.
Okay.
So it's simply just being a witness to your thoughts because you have them popping in and out of your head, and there's no right or wrong way. You're going to be a witness to them. You're not going to control them. You're going to be a witness to them. And then you're just going to focus on your breathing in and out through the nose. And we could practice right now is everyone could just start breathing through their nose and just slowly breathe in and out. And as you're breathing, I just want you to be a witness to the air coming in just through your nostrils. And as the air comes in, I want you to feel the actual sensation of it passing, how cool it is. Notice the temperature. Notice how your body and your lungs expand and flex out and fill with air, and the magic happens in there with carbon dioxide and oxygen.
Beauty. It's beauty.
And then I want you to notice as you exhale through your nose, I want you to feel the temperature change. Coolness coming in and warmness coming out. And just feel and notice your breath. And as your thoughts pop into your head, you can close your eyes too. A lot of times it's better to close the eyes. As thoughts pop into your brain, as you feel them in your mind, allow them to just float by. And be a witness to them, but have kindness and love yourself and let them go. And don't be like, oh, I'm not doing the exercise right. I keep thinking about other things.
No judgment.
Right. No judgment. And that is a very simple exercise. Now, some people call it meditation. It is the first easiest form of meditation.
It is. Yes. Yep.
But that is the seed of doing that. That's the seed of creating some exercise for your attitude muscle. That creates awareness when you start living in the now, because now you're in your precious present. You're right, focusing on the breath. And then I tell people once we do those exercises, I also do some sensory exercises where they put their fingers together and they just touch their two fingers together and they just feel all the sensations. And then they put their hands together and they just slide each hand up and down and feel all the sensations in their palm. And they can also even feel, just take and put their arms on their shoulder and then rub and finish with their fingertips. Self-soothing exercises. These exercises bring people out of their heads and into their senses. And the senses are in that higher level command of their brain. So it gets them out. The beauty of this is the brain cannot occupy that space. You can't be in your primal state, which is with that lizard brain, and you can't be in your power state, which is the higher level brain at the same time. It's either or. So when you take and you start doing these things, you'll see your pulse rate comes down. There are cues, that awareness. Think about it. Your temperature may come down. Your breath rate lowers. And then you notice there's a whole biochemical process that occurs. So once that happens, it's about offloading now the fear by being in the present. Then we need to reload what's there with goals. And that's by focusing on your vision, your compelling vision of where you want to be. Compelling vision is one of the attributes of being in your power state. Just like wonder and awe, when you talked about this morning about, you said, see the beauty in this day, the love and the light. That's putting you in your power state. Love that. That was great.
Thank you.
Having that compelling vision, right? And then once you have that compelling vision of looking into the future, not being afraid of it, because we don't want to get back into that fear mode, but just saying, I have a compelling vision. Now, I tell you to look behind you and say, well, where were you 6 months ago or a year ago or before COVID, right? Just think about how far we've come between however long ago it was and where you are now. And you say, okay, great. I may not be where I want to be, but I've definitely come a distance. And now you look into the future and you say, here's my compelling vision of where I want to be. And then we come back to the present and we say, okay, what are 3 things that I can focus on this week? Not what I should do, but what I can do. 3 things that I know that I can do with 100% integrity and 100% commitment. And I have them use what I call the smarter goals. Have you ever heard of SMART rule?
Yep.
Well, there's a smarter rule that makes it internal. And I posted on this in my LinkedIn this week. I think it was on Monday. But S stands for being specific. Make sure your goals are specific. Make sure they're measurable. Make sure they're actionable or action-oriented. They're realistic. They're time-based so that you can hold yourself accountable. They also need to be, what's the E stand for? The E stands for enjoyable. And the last R stands for rewarding. Those connect you to those internal goals, that internal purpose, so that you're not doing things based on anything outside. That's part of why when you set a goal, say, okay, I'm going on a diet to lose weight on the 1st of January, right? New Year's resolutions. 20% of New Year's resolutions last for until February.
Yeah, 6 weeks. It's about 6 weeks.
20%. The other January 2nd, they're gone. So why is that? Why do people go on and off? Because they're doing things based on things that are not truly connected to something that's important to them. And then the third step, I said the first one is offloading your fears. The second one is reloading with goals. And the third one is transforming. You transform with clarity. Clarity is connecting to that why. So you're focused, you're empowered. And then the most important step is gratitude. You're grateful. Because gratitude brings it back where you're eliminating expectations. You're focusing on the now. When you're grateful, you're living in the now. So I encourage people to take and sit down and write a gratitude statement every day.
Yes.
What are you grateful for? And people kind of get silly with it. They go, I'm very uncomfortable with this. But when you start doing it, amazing things start happening.
I think what happens with people is they feel like as if somebody's watching them and they're like, oh, well, you better put this like on your gratitude list. And I usually tell clients and whatnot, I'm like, listen, this is all for you. Like you don't have to, nobody has to see this list, so you're going to say, well, if you're a parent, you really should say, oh, I'm grateful for my children. You know what? I am grateful for my children. Do they drive me crazy and piss me off sometimes? Hell yeah. So throughout my day, there's moments where I'm like not feeling very grateful towards them. But at the end of the day or the beginning of my day, I'm grateful for my children. But I say things like, I'm grateful for my phone. Why am I grateful for why would you be grateful for something tangible? It's like, because my phone allows me to make appointments on the fly. I can collect money. I can advertise for my business. I can connect with my children. I can connect with other people. So it's like, I'm grateful for my phone. Do I absolutely positively need my phone? I could shift without my phone, but I'm grateful for it. I'm grateful that I have a car sitting in my driveway that I can get into, turn the key, and it will start. Because about 20 years ago, I would get into, or maybe a little bit longer than that, but I would get into a car and go, please start, mama's got to get to work, and it was, so I'm grateful that I have a car that works and I can afford that. If it didn't, I could afford to bring it to go get fixed. So it's like, people think that sometimes you have to have these exuberant ideas of gratitude, and I'm grateful that I'm breathing today. I'm grateful that I woke up and didn't have pain today. I'm grateful that, whatever it could be the simplest little thing, or it could be the grandest thing. Just don't hold yourself back.
Exactly. There was somebody who did a gratitude project, and I can't remember where I heard about it. I must have read about it. He blogged on it, or it might have been in a podcast. I think it's the Happiness Lab, which was Lori Santos. Dr. Lori Santos does the Happiness Lab. It's a great reference for those people who want to learn the science behind optimism. But he talked about being grateful for coffee, and which was perfect for this, this podcast. He decided to find every step of the way of who he could thank. So it wasn't just about being grateful. It was about, and I do this in my grateful, because I have a grateful presentation. It's called Leaning into Fear to Conquer Your Fear. It's conquering fear with gratitude. And it's expressing gratitude. It's one thing to feel it, but how do you express it? And this is something I'm working on too. We all are working on it. He actually wrote letters to every single person who was along the process of making the coffee. And I remember him talking about the one woman who he was having a hard time getting a hold of, but he found the woman who swept the actual warehouse where the coffee was and kept it clean and kept the insects out and the rats and all that, all that good stuff. But they had a conversation. Mm-hmm. And how she said, he said it was kind of weird. I know this is going to be a weird topic. And she says, it is, but wow, you're the first person to ever do that. And what does that do then to that person? It creates that connection, that energy.
Yes.
It changes.
It's a shifter.
Everything. Yeah. And that was the whole purpose of, this is the kind of stuff that really gets me going, because when I work with my clients, it's about flipping that switch. It's not about changing and becoming more of what they want. It's about letting go and realizing that they're connected to everything. And if they just focus on what I call becoming, it's my program, I call it the B3 way, becoming who they truly want to be. Mm-hmm. And that's that transformation. They focus on being strong, which is the growth mindset, that resilience, grit, and perseverance. And then we focus on be grateful, which is living in the now and really appreciating, like you said, the computer that we're on. I mean, how many people in the world don't have potable water still?
Yes.
And we think about all the things that we take for granted. And it's saying that life is enough. What we have is enough, not always wanting more. And that's really the essence.
I love that you said about the I'm like really stuck on this piece with the gratitude piece about sharing it, because that is a way to cultivate.
And that's why I went and got my gratitude jar.
I love it.
With the pennies. And I normally, when people come over, I have them write something they're grateful for. And then we put it in here. And this is a life lived in gratitude is a quiet joy.
I came to the right place. There you go.
And then you have it. It's all here. And this is, And then here is they have words on it. And then it has, Lincoln. Oh, can you see it right here? Because it's something as, how many people I know that throw their pennies away as soon as they get it, they trash it. Not knowing that without it, 99 cents, you can't complete your dollar. And I think a penny is very important, and I'm grateful for the penny. And so when I saw this, I had to have it because it talks about being grateful for the simple things in life.
Yes.
Which is water, which is growing food, having the knowledge to grow food.
But and also, go ahead. No, go ahead. Finish. I'm sorry.
For many years now, since I had my own YouTube channel, Moments con Margarita, since January 1st, 2017, my tagline has always been own your now and live in your moment. Because I've never been one to be intimidated or anxious about what's going to happen tomorrow. I really don't give a shit because I'm not there yet. All I can do is plan out my day that when it comes to tomorrow, I'll be a bit more prepared and less frazzled. But whatever happened yesterday hurts, it stings, the wounds are there. But it's very hard. It's about living in your moment and owning your now is what prepares us for our future, really.
And I'm so grateful for you guys having me on. I really loved being here. I don't know if we go longer because I have a 9:00 team coaching session that I'm getting ready
that he's got to go to. So Evan, thank you so much for coming on. We really appreciate. You could jump off. That's fine. We'll sign off and everything. We'll say our goodbyes. But thank you for coming on. We really appreciate it. We're grateful. Very grateful.
And if anybody wants, I have a Facebook page they can join. I sent you the link. So if you can share that with people.
I will. I'll put it in the comments.
Cultivating Optimism. I do Facebook Lives every Wednesday. So that in a little bit of just 5-10 minutes, and I talk about this mindset work that I do, as well as health and wellness. And also anybody that's interested in an assessment, wellness assessment, I'm offering it to everybody here. No charge. Just reach out to me on one of my links and I'll make sure to send it to you guys. Thank you so much.
We got it in the chat. Thank you
Such
so
a
much,
pleasure.
Evan. Take care. Have a great weekend.
You too.
So that was really lovely. It was fantastic having him on. And it made me think about years ago, I know we have to go, but years ago, remember back in the day when nothing was open on Thanksgiving Day, like everything was closed.
I feel very
I did as well. Right. And so I remember then it started to shift and they started to open up really early Friday morning. Then they would be like, oh, then all of a sudden Kmart stayed open on Thanksgiving Day. Right. Then everybody else started to follow. Right. And I remember reading this full page ad.
Wait. So Kmart was the first one to stay open on Thanksgiving?
At least in my area. Yeah. In this area.
That's why they fell. They bankrupt because
yesterday. Probably. Well, they were trying that. That's why they did it. They were trying so hard to to get in the money. They were very lack mindset, So anyway, there was this big newspaper ad from PC Richards and it said, we value our employees as family. And that is why PC Richards is choosing to be closed Thanksgiving Day to honor our big, huge ad saying honor our employees so that they can spend time and be with their family. And we will reopen at 6 a.m. on Friday, right? I look at that and this is what I said, oh my God, this is why I would want to shop at PC Richards because that is phenomenal, right? Then that same, let me see, that's because that happened that was a couple days before Thanksgiving, right? So I'm like, okay, I got to do all my shopping, right? And I'm like, okay, this is great because I knew Stop and Shop was open on Thanksgiving Day and ShopRite wasn't. I'm like, okay, I'm not going to go to Stop and Shop on Thanksgiving Day, right? Don't you know? So Thanksgiving morning, I wake up and I realize I'm missing a key ingredient for one of the things that I needed to make. And I'm like, oh my God. And it wasn't even just one, I actually needed a couple things. I was like, you've got to be kidding me. I'm like, oh my God, I said I didn't want to go. These people, these are the reason. I'm the reason these people are working because of this. If they weren't there, what would I have done? So I said, you know what? I'm like, should I go? Should I not go? I said, you know what? I'm going to go, but I'm going to make it worth my while. So I go or their while. Every single person that was working that I saw, I went up and I said, thank you so much for being here today. For the idiots like me who did not prepare properly and forgot certain things. I said, I really appreciate you being here. Everybody was like, oh my God, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. One of them was so taken back. She was like, oh my God, you're so welcome. And I said, really? I'm like, because I wouldn't be able to do what I was doing if you weren't here. And I said, and next year, you know what? I'm going to make the effort to not, thank God it wasn't busy. Thank God, I was happy that it wasn't busy. And they were having a good time. They were laughing. They were making the best of it. But yeah, so it's nice to be able to say that to workers.
It really is. It really is.
No?
Anyway. It really is.
All right.
Beautiful thing. I'm happy that somebody said something about being grateful for coffee because people think it's just a luxury or they don't take pride in how they order, how to specifically have somebody make their cup I just think you're a joke.
That was beautiful. I agree.
And I think, I'm not going to be positive all the time, especially when it comes to things I love. So coffee right now, it's kicking me in the ass. But.
Okay. Well, you'll get there though. You know what? You're awesome and you're fabulous and you're going to look fabulous and feel fabulous and it will be all worth it. So, just a reminder that tomorrow night is Viva Moms After Dark on Word of Mom Radio, 10 p.m. to 12 a.m. We are going to have Dr. Melissa Belazon, East Meets West in Medicine, and Jennifer Dragonette Jacobson on Being Self. On Tuesday's show, we're going to have Melissa back on. Dr. Melissa will be back on. And what pills are you popping? That's going to be a really good show because we take way too much medication. And this is from a pharmacist who specializes in this. She actually evaluates people's medications to see if they are actually on the wrong medications, the wrong dosage, and if they should be mixing medicines and supplements. And then on Thursday, we're going to have Sexy Life Insurance with Lisa Potter. And then we're also going to have special guest Lillian Maldonado come on. She's going to be talking about Usta tu Corona and we're going to be pushing that. So we would love to see the tribe there and get a table so we can all hang out together, and you can be live on the broadcast with us. So any last words of wisdom, Gladiator Guru, before we sign off?
No, not today. I really enjoyed it. I didn't have much to say. A lot of what he said is what I always speak on. A lot of what, the belief system, what you shared, I think it was good. It was good. It was from different perspectives. So I spectated today because I enjoyed it. There was nothing more I can say. It was being said different from what I would say, but it was being said, and the tribe was very active in expressing what they were saying. So thank you.
Wonderful.
And with that, we will say adios, buenos dias, drink tequila.
It's got to be 5 o'clock somewhere, right? As you always say. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for coming on. Hopefully we'll have you on the radio show tomorrow. If not, or regardless, have a beautiful weekend. And from the Badass Buddha, remember, be you, be real, and be extraordinary.
Yes. Que tenga buenos días. And from the Gladiator Guru, breathe in the beauty and breathe out the bullshit. Namaste.
Namaste, everyone.